interesting phone and tablet software, and I'll talk about new and popular apps that you can install on your phone or on your tablet. Before we do that, a little bio on myself. My name is Tom Kreuzer. They call me the PC guy because I have personalized license plates that say PC guy. And I've had them for, I had it for 40 years. So that's why I was able to get it way back when, before people were really using PCs there. I'm the son of John and Joan Kreuzer here at Carondelet. John is in front here. My mother's down in the care unit there, and she just is celebrating her 90th birthday today. So, yeah. But I know a lot of people here at Carondelet have more years. In fact, the neighbor of my parents there, she's what, 102 now? I think 102 there, and so it's a good place here. A little more bio on myself. I worked at 3M in their information technology area for 40 years. I also am involved with the 3M Personal Computing Club. So we have a computing club, and I've been a president, a vice president, all kinds of positions there for 35 years, and I give the majority of the presentations at their meetings also. I do offer free help, so I do have a little business card. You can take that, and feel free to contact me. I know you also have Sue over here who you can sign up in the computer room, or she'll sign up for one-on-one help. But if you have some questions or things like that, you can email me or call, or we can figure something out there. I do mention here that I am thrifty. Some people call me cheap, but so if there's free programs or cheaper ways to do things, I usually tend to find the cheaper way to save some money there.
That's good for me.
Usually works for a lot of people, but some people will go, well, why are you doing this instead of this other option? And I go, well, instead of paying, let's say, $1,400 for a new iPhone, I might choose a different phone that isn't quite as expensive, that'll still do the things that I want. So that's where that comes in. Another plug here on Monday, the June 14th, in the art room up on 3rd floor. Myself, my brother-in-law Gary, and my sister Mary, we're going to be doing a fix-it clinic. So if you've got broken small appliances, lamps, electronics, anything, you can sign up for a slot, and we'll try and fix it. We won't guarantee that we can fix everything, but we'll try and fix it. Okay, let's get into best interesting phone and tablet. There is a handout, and I think it looks like everybody's got it there. So this is the list here. The handout is sorted by categories, and for categories, we go from cooking all the way to weather. So I've broken them out by that. Then we have an app name, and this is the name that if you're searching for it to what to install on your phone or on your tablet, it's a name that you can use to search for it. Just a little warning there. Some of the names vary from the Apple or iOS system and the Android system. So some of the names, if you're searching for it, it may not be the exact name that I show here.
The Apple or the Android?
They're kind of a combination, because some of them I got from different websites and things like that, so it depends on what they were originally recommended for. So some of it, if you search for the name in here, about 90+% of the time you'll have no problem finding the right app there.
So what does OS?
OS is for operating system. So your tablet or your phone has an operating system, and usually it's either Apple or everything else, and everything else is considered Android.
Is an iPad Apple?
An iPad is an Apple. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad, that's the Apple. But most of these apps that we'll talk about today will work with both of them. So where the OS says both, that's most of the apps are available for both of them there.
What you have on here is iOS.
Yeah, the iOS is just what Apple calls its operating system. So just like an iPad and an iPhone, Apple puts I in front of a lot of their things. So their operating system is known as iOS, and basically everything else is known as Android there.
Will you be speaking to the battery use?
I won't be speaking to battery use. Maybe that could be a future topic. I plan on giving more presentations in that, but there's things that you can check both on your tablet and on your phone to tell you what's using the battery, most using the battery. So you may have on your phone or that, you may have 30 or 50 or 100 apps on the phone, but there may be only one or two that is really draining your battery. And that, in the future, we could maybe talk about that and explain some things that you could do to make your battery last longer or turn some things off so it doesn't use quite as much battery there. But that, I'll just be talking about the apps themselves. I won't be saying whether they consume a lot of battery or don't. The phones and the tablets have gotten better over the years. So in general, phones and tablets last longer and that. Now, if you have a phone or a tablet that is getting older, meaning it's 3 years old or 4 or 5 or 6 years old, the batteries just don't hold as much charge and don't last as long. So that's another factor in battery life that you run into.
So this iPad is a tablet, right?
That's called a tablet. The only difference between really a tablet and a phone is the phones tend to be a little smaller and also have the ability to make a telephone call. So a smartphone, it can do a lot of the same things as a tablet, and run the same apps as a tablet. It's just that this screen is smaller. Okay. The other column that I have on here is I call it key, and this is where I got the recommendation from. So there's a couple of sites that I like a lot. One is PC Magazine, and they rated the 100 best Android apps, and they rated the 100 best iPhone apps. I also use a site called Tom's Guide. It's, even though my name is Tom, it's not my site. It's a site that has good recommendations and that has some good information that I use. This D, if you see D up in the key, that means that it came from the Google Play. This is one of their top 50 Android apps that they have. And if there's a T in there, that's one that I personally use. I have an Android phone, so my phone is an Android smartphone, and I have an iPad tablet. So I have both an Apple and an Android there. M is something that was recommended by a member, and when I say member here, this is a member of the 3M Personal Computing Club. So we also give this same presentation to the 3M Personal Computing Club, and we ask the members to make suggestions there. And the last column is a new column, and that's if it's new since 2017. So if it's a relatively new app, some of these apps have been around for 10 years or more, while others are brand new there.
So I missed what the A is in the key.
The A just means that it's from PC Magazine, which is a website which makes recommendations. And they have articles, and they come out with their list every year of the best apps. So it's from their list of best apps for the year. Okay? Okay, where to search and download the apps? Well, again, this depends on whether you have an Apple device or an Android device. If you have an Apple device, you'll be using the Apple Store, which is an icon, this blue icon here that says App Store. That's what you have on your iPhone or on your iPad there. And that has, if you go out to the App Store and start looking for an app, they have 2.56 million apps out there. So there's apps to do everything under the sun, and for every way to do things, there's thousands of these apps that'll let you do what you want. It's a matter of finding that one that's right for you and gives you what you want. So that's what this is. This is meant to help you when you are going out there and you're looking for something to find the right thing there. So the App Store is what you'd use if you were using an Apple device. Android, they call theirs the Google Play Store. So the icon looks like this and says Google Play. And the Google Play Store is very similar to the Apple, and they have 2.8 million apps out there. Now I mentioned here that you can get apps from other places. So you may get an email, or somebody may send you a text, or you may go out to a site in a browser and you see something that says click here to install this on your phone. Well, you want to be very, 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 very careful there because some of these could contain a virus or could be harmful to your phone or to your tablet. So usually you want to only install things from the App Store if you have an Apple device, or from Google Play if you have an Android device there. Okay. Computer, actually, you have a browser on your computer, but your computer, if it's a Windows computer, and that can't run these apps.
Okay.
They run a totally different set of software for that, so we won't be talking about that today. This is mainly for the tablets and the phones. Okay? You're welcome. So this is an example of what it looks like if you went out to the Google Play Store. And as I mentioned, the Apple, if you have an Apple device, it looks very similar. You can search for apps. It'll have recommendations. It'll show things, stuff like that, and it'll look very similar to this. And we'll talk about what you can look for out here. So here I went in and was looking at an app called CookPad, and it's for creating recipes there. Well, what you can look at when you're looking up an app there, some of the things that I recommend that you look at is, well, if you do decide to install it, there usually is an install button. So it makes it easy to install it on your phone or on your tablet, just clicking the install button. Another thing to look at is usually you'll see the reviews and score. So this will rate the app on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, and then it'll tell you how many people have rated it. So in this case, this is rated at 5 stars, and 234,000 people have rated it. So that's it's both getting a good score, and a lot of people use it. Another thing to look at is usually you'll have in this area here, it'll have screen images. So you can kind of get an idea of what the app is going to look like and how it's going to operate by looking at these screen images. Sometimes there's even a video in there showing you a little demonstration of what it does. If we scroll down, we see even more information here. And one of the things we see is that this is a little more detail on the reviews. So this app here scored 4.7 out of 5 stars. There's their 234,000. And this shows how many people rated it. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3. Nobody rated it 2. And there was a couple of people with 1. So you can look at reviews to see what users may have liked about it, what users may have liked about it, or what they didn't like about it. If somebody rated it 1 star, maybe you can see why they didn't like it. Is that the same reason that you might have? So you can get an idea of whether it might work for you or not work for you. Some more information here is one of the things it'll tell you is the number of installs. So this tells me that this app has been installed 10 million times, which is a good number. You don't want to be installing software where there's only 100 people have installed it, or even 1,000 people, or in some cases even 10,000. Most of the apps that I use, I look for over 1 million people having installed it there. Another thing that I usually look at is when was it last updated. So in this case, this was last updated on July 22nd, 2020. If it hasn't been updated in a few years, they may not be coming out with new versions or features, and so you may not want to load the app or do things with it. So knowing that it's being updated and fixed and things like that can be important there. Another thing that I'll look at is this similar. Similar is going to tell you what other apps are out there that may be similar to this. So if you tried this app and didn't like it and wanted something similar, you could maybe try one of these other options here.
Are those categories on the iPad?
Yes, yeah. So all these things that I talk about, whether it's, I'm showing the Google Play Store, but if you go out to the Apple App Store, you'll see the exact same thing. So you can see how many times it's been installed, when it was last updated, some similar apps. Because these app stores, the Apple and the Android, have millions of apps, you need some way to help you figure out what might work for you or things like that. Okay? Okay, so that's a little background when you're looking to install and things like that. For these apps have all been checked out. So these are used by millions of people. They're being updated. They've rated high in surveys and stuff like that. So they've all been checked out. But if you're loading other software or you have other things that you want to use, that's where you'd use some of those tips there to figure out what to do there. So here I mentioned before installing new apps on your phone or on your tablet, you may not have space. If you've got an older phone, you may not have that much space on the phone, in which case you may have to delete old apps that you're not using. So before you go through and say, oh, I want to load up 10 or 20 of these, you may want to go through your existing apps and delete ones that you aren't using today. That'll free up more memory, and your screen won't be as cluttered with things that you aren't using. So it's always a good idea to clean it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, the format of this meeting, we have a lot of things to cover, so there's almost 300 apps on here. So I can't spend time and talk about every one. So we're going to go quick here. You can hold your questions till the end, unless it's a quick question. So if it's a quick question, I'll try and answer it right away there. But if it's a longer one, I'll hold it till the end. Okay, let's take a look at the list. So what I'm going to do is pull up the list here. Let me get my list. And I'm going to be going over this list here in a minute here. So here's the list. I mentioned the categories, the app name, the cost, the OS, the key, and whether it's new there. And I won't be able to talk about all of these, but we'll talk about a few of them and just give you a general feel of some of the things that are possible there and some of the things that I personally use myself. So as an example, we looked at the CookPad recipes. If you do cook or manage shopping lists or things like that, that CookPad Recipes is a nice little app to help you do that. Another one that I use, if you go out to eat, it's called Tip and Split. And that's used to calculate tips. And let's just take a look at, I brought it up in the Google Play Store. This is what Tip and Split looks like there. And you can see it's rated like almost 5 stars. Here are some of the screens that are in there. There's a video that kind of shows you what's going on. But you can see here that you put in the amount of the bill of the restaurant that you're at. You can increase the percentage or decrease the percentage, and it'll tell you how much it is. And if you're going to split it amongst multiple people, you can put in the people, and it'll tell you exactly how much each person can kick in there. So instead of using a calculator or even using your head, you can accurately figure it all out there. The other thing that this does, so in addition to figuring out tips and that, it also has tipping guides. So if you're not sure what to tip, let's say at the airport or at the hotel, it'll tell you what is generally accepted practices, and if you're traveling, it has all different countries, so you can see what's customary to tip there. So that's an example of, people would say, well, I really don't need an app to figure out tips because I can either figure it out in my head or with the calculator on the phone. Well, here's an easier way to do it. Okay. Okay, another one. This is in the creativity area, and the creativity area, if you're into taking photographs and storing photographs and managing photographs, a nice package here is called Adobe Lightroom. So it's a photo editing app, plus it gives you storage up in the cloud, so you can share your photos and they're backed up and things like that. This is one of the few apps out there that is expensive for an app, $9.99 a month, and that's because you're getting the online storage and access to all the capabilities. So if you're familiar with Adobe Photoshop for the capabilities of editing and doing things, this gives you almost all that capability for this app here. Okay, another one here, and this is a free version, Google Photos. Google Photos is similar to Adobe Lightroom. It doesn't have all the features and functions, but it does let you view, edit, manage your photos, share them with friends and family, and you can also back up. It comes with 15 gigabytes of storage of your photos, and if you need more than that, then you pay a fee each month to store the additional photos out there. But I personally use this myself and with our family. I believe I'm up to over 40,000 pictures out there now. And I've used it to organize and scanned in old photos and things like that, and I make it available to everyone in the family that way. Okay, another one that I recommend, it's called Google Photo Scan. Google Photo Scan is an app that uses your phone's camera. So if you have a photograph that you'd like to digitize and send in an email or store at one of these sites or post onto Facebook or some other site there, one of the things that you can do is people will use their camera and take a picture. Well, this gives you a higher quality picture than just using your camera by itself. Because what it does is you open the app and then you position it over the photo, and then it'll have you take a picture, but then it'll have you move the camera around to take multiple photos there. So if there's any glare or any problems with it not being sharp or stuff like that, it'll combine all those images together to give you the best digital quality. It'll crop the photo for you so you won't have other stuff in it. And it can also be used to, well, we don't have any, well, the artwork over there. If I wanted to take a picture of the artwork, I could use it to take a picture of the artwork and it'd do the same thing. We wouldn't have glare from the glass. We wouldn't have, it'd be nice and sharp, and then I could send it or save it or share it with whoever I wanted there.
This is phone camera. You also work with your tablet.
It'll work with your tablet also, because the tablet has a camera in there also.
Well, even if it's an Android, will it work with my iPad?
Last I checked on this one, it only worked with the Android. You can see if it's out on the Google Play now, because even though I checked several months ago, these apps change where they may have come out with a version for the Apple, so you can check and see there. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so there's others in creativity, other photo editors or adding special effects and things like that in there that can be checked out. But now we'll move into the category for education. One of them in here that might be of interest is Bible Home. It's called Bible Home. It's a daily Bible study. So every day it comes up with topics and things like that to study there, and you can go through. So it's kind of a nice little deal there. Another one in the education, it's called Khan Academy. Khan Academy makes thousands of classes. And these are all free classes in all kinds of categories. So, I mean, everything from math to English to history to any topic, any grade level, college, things like that. There's free classes available out there. Okay, another one in the education that I like, it's called TED by TED. So TED conferences are tech talks, but they get into a wide variety of subjects of experts in the field who will present, kind of like myself, but even better than myself there. And these talks are out there, and so you can find them on a wide variety of topics, and the app makes it easy to keep abreast of new items being added and other things that you might be interested in. Okay, if we move into the entertainment, a lot of the things in the entertainment are TV stations, whether you're streaming TV, and we won't go into exactly what streaming means, but if you're watching TV on your phone or on your tablet, there's lots of apps to help you do that. Some of them cost money, or you have to have a subscription to a service in order to stream, but there's lots of apps out there to help you do that. In addition to the TV, one that comes standard on Android, is Google Podcasts. And Google Podcasts is a podcast player. Podcasts are spoken word. It's like having a radio station on a particular topic. And there's millions of podcasts out there for every subject under the sun there. And the podcasts, if you're not familiar with it, the advantage is you can listen to them when you want at any time. So you can start a podcast, and maybe the podcast has 6 episodes that are 2 hours long, each 2 hours long. You could choose to watch that in one day, one right after another. Or you could spread that over a month and watch a little bit one day and a week later watching the next episode. So you decide when you want to listen and see these things. So a podcast player is very nice there. So let's take a look here. In here, also in the entertainment, I mentioned TV Guide. So most of us maybe grew up with TV Guide in the house. Well, you have an online TV Guide, and this is kind of handy, especially if you have a tablet. because you can see what's going to be on tonight. It'll have recaps. It'll tell you whether it's a new episode. You can narrow down the channels, so it's just the channels that you're interested in. So it's kind of a nice little deal, and again, doesn't cost you anything. TV guide on the phone, I don't necessarily recommend it because on the phone you have a number of channels, and you obviously have your time during the day and stuff like that. Because of the small screen, it usually works better on a tablet there, where you have a bigger screen and can get more information out there. Okay. Another one that probably most people already have is YouTube. YouTube, there's millions of videos out there. Some of them are of old TV programs, of current TV programs, of news articles, or news events that happened yesterday, or news events that happened 100 years ago. So there's these videos out there, literally billions of videos, because millions of videos are being added every day out there. So that's very popular with everybody there. Okay, next one we'll talk about in the finance category is I have a Fidelity account, and I use the Fidelity investments for banking, trades, deposits. So instead of taking a check that I want to deposit and putting it in an envelope or taking it down to the bank, I can just take a picture of it and deposit it in my Fidelity account. And at any point, I can bring up and check my balances. If I'm buying stock or selling stock, I can do that. I can check my bank to see what's out there. And even if you don't have Fidelity, almost every bank has an app. So if you have Wells Fargo, they have a Wells Fargo app that provides all this functionality. If you have US Bank, there's a US Bank out there. So there's these apps for almost every bank that you have out there. Okay, another one in the finance that I use, it's called Square Register. Square Register is a combination of an app, and then there's a device, a little device that you plug into the phone, and that little device enables me to be able to swipe a credit card. So I use it when I have a garage sale or for a personal computing club. If people are paying their dues or that, we can just swipe their credit card and they can make a payment that way. So it's kind of a nice little deal to help out there. Okay, next we'll move into to health and fitness. If you have a fitness tracker, and I've actually got two of them on, Fitbit and another one from another company here. The Fitbit has an app, so in addition to looking on here and seeing how many steps or how far I've gone or stuff like that, the Fitbit app will show me a graph for how I've done the last week or the last month, and so it's very handy. If you have it, almost every type of health tracking device, you do have an app out there for it. Okay, another one in the health and fitness, it's called Map My Run. Now you don't have to be a runner, you could just walk or you could bike, but it'll work for any of those activities, even swimming. Map My Run can even work without a Fitbit device. So the Map My Run is using your GPS, which is the satellite up in the sky there. So if you walked around the building, let's say out here, it would keep track of how far you walked, the route that you walked, how far you went or how fast you went each portion of your exercise there. It'll break all that stuff down for you. So it's a nice little way to track what you're doing there. Okay. Another one in the health and fitness, it's called, WebMD. So WebMD, similar to what it sounds like, if you want to do a diagnosis. So before you go to the doctor, maybe you want to check what your symptoms are or things like that. Well, this is an app that lets you put in your symptoms. It'll diagnose. It has all kinds of information, different things to check, and what you can do there. So it's kind of a nice little app there. Okay. The next category is news, and almost every newspaper or magazine has their own app there for the news. So you can take a look out there and see what's out there. Personally, what I use is the Pioneer Press. There's one called Pioneer Press e-edition. It gives you the St. Paul paper. I mention it's free. For most people, it's free because if you are getting a subscription to the paper, you also are entitled to the online e-version there. And so you can pull it up there and be able to read the paper online. Now, reading the paper online on a phone can be challenging because you have the smaller screen and you're having to move and stuff like that. It's easier on a tablet or a larger device, but if you were in the doctor's office waiting, bringing up the current day's paper and looking at articles, the phone may work fine there for you. So you just have to figure out what you're doing there. Okay. In the productivity, this is an app that's similar to, I talked about the Google Photo Scan for scanning photos. Well, this is called Adobe Scan. And the Adobe Scan is a similar type of deal. It'll work with your phone or your tablet using the phone or using the camera in there. You can take a document. So let's say I was taking this list that I have. So I've got the list here. I take a picture of it and it'll create a PDF file. And even if it's multiple pages, I can add multiple pages to it to create a PDF file. It also supports what's called OCR, or optical character recognition. So once I scan it, if I wanted to copy some text off of there and send it to somebody in an email, or if I wanted to send the whole PDF file, I can send that whole file or just portions of the text to somebody to get it. So I use this quite often. If I'm reading a magazine and there's something in there that I want to keep or send on to somebody else, I'll use it to scan in that and either capture the text or send the entire PDF file to somebody. Okay. Now there's other packages or apps in this productivity. If you do use Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, there's apps for those. If you use Google has their own set for word processing and spreadsheets and that. There's apps for that, so that can be handy. One that I found particularly handy is it's called OneNote. And OneNote is a package. It's made by Microsoft, and it's in a category that they call list keeper or organizer. It lets you take notes, collect information, kind of like having a notebook with different sections in it. You can create these different documents. In those documents, you can type in things that you want. You can put in voice recordings. You can put in pictures. You can put in websites. You can do all of these things within OneNote. And it makes it handy to, like I say, organize your things or keep track of some of the things that you have to do there. Okay. Okay, another one we'll get into, this next category, it's called search. In the search category, if you do have Amazon Alexa devices, There's the Alexa app, and that lets you manage your Amazon devices. So you can actually turn your phone into an Amazon device. So the same thing that you can do on your Amazon devices, whether you're asking it questions or adding to lists or doing things, you can do on your phone or on your tablet at the same time there. And if you're using your Amazon devices to create, let's say, shopping lists or to-do lists or things like that, then you can look them up in the Amazon app on your phone or on your tablet, and you can see what you may have entered in over the last week for buying groceries or whatever, and then pick up the stuff that way. Okay, another one that I use and couldn't use it last year because of COVID, didn't have the state fair, but the Minnesota State Fair puts out an app that makes it easy to guide you around the fairgrounds, showing you a map, letting you search. So if you're searching for a particular food or a particular vendor of food or is selling stuff, it'll tell you where it is and tell you how to get there. So it's kind of a nice little app there if you go to the state fair. Okay, into the security category. This is a package that I use. It's called Bitwarden. It's what's called a password manager. So as most of you have probably found out, the more sites you visit and the more apps you use and things like that, you end up with accounts and passwords, and you want to make sure that they're secure. And you don't want to necessarily be writing them down on a post-it note or in a notebook or something like that you can lose or gets out of date or you don't have it with you when you need it. A password manager is a nice thing to have there. All you have to know is the single password to get you into the password manager, and then in most cases it can fill in these other applications, it can fill in the password that you have for these other services there. So it saves you having to remember things or write them down. You can just store it all in there. And it is very, very secure. I know a lot of people worry about, well, what if somebody broke in there? The chance of them breaking in there is a lot less than you having a post-it note out or somebody guessing a simple password or something like that you may have used. So they are worthwhile using. And this is a password manager that I just started using this year. I used to use this other password manager down here called LastPass. LastPass was a very popular app for doing password management, but just a few months ago, LastPass was going to charge for if you wanted to use it on multiple devices. So if you had a phone and a tablet and a laptop and a desktop, it was going to charge you if you wanted to use it on all those devices. So most people said, well, there's other alternatives to LastPass, and this is the best one, Bitwarden, and this I don't have to pay anything, and I can use it on all of my devices, and it keeps everything in sync there. Okay. Shopping. I'll mention in here, Drive Safe and Save. You may have seen this on TV. It's a State Farm app to allow you to get discounts on your auto insurance. And the way that it does that is there's a little device that State Farm gives you that you put in your car, and then that talks to your phone, and the phone actually is like having somebody in the car. So it monitors how fast you go, how fast you stop, how well you do right turns and left turns, and it gives you a grade. You get a grade anywhere from A to an F, and it grades you. And based on the grades, you'll get a discount from State Farm for that. And when I first started it, I was getting A's in everything except the left turn. And when I do a left turn, we're all in a hurry there, so I do a wider left turn and I may be going faster than what I should have. So I was getting A's in all these other categories, and I was getting, I think, a C or something like that in left turns. So it kind of made me rethink, or I had to rethink there to try and get my score up. And by slowing down a little bit and making more of a right angle turn instead of a wide arc there, I got my score to an A. And getting the scores, again, depending on the grade score that you get a discount for your next auto insurance payment. And I was able to cut my auto insurance in half. So there's money to be had there. Now, I know a lot of people will say, but I don't want State Farm looking at how I drive and that. Well, they're never going to charge you more than what you're currently paying. So your costs won't go up from what you're currently paying, but you can get a discount if you get better scores on right turns and left turns and accelerating and stopping and these categories. Plus, to me, it's kind of fun there just to make sure that I can keep my score up there in the A there on that. Okay, let's go here. Another one in the shopping category is Walgreens. So most stores out there, be it Target or Lund's or anywhere, has an app nowadays, and it's worthwhile to install those if you frequent those stores. They'll usually give you coupons. They'll loyalty deals where you get on your birthday, you get something, some kind of gift or things like that. So it's worthwhile signing up for those. Walgreens, in addition, I like it because that's where I get my prescriptions. So I can manage my prescriptions and everything through the app. I can order refills. I can check to see what I have. I can check the price. I can do different things there. So really, any of the stores that you frequent, like I say, most of them will have an app, and it's worthwhile installing that and using that. Okay, social, and a lot of people do use Facebook, so if you are on Facebook to share pictures or stories with friends and family, certainly load the Facebook app. That'll give you more features and functions than you'd have if you were going to Facebook through a browser. A browser may have less features and functions, so the app is going to give you more capabilities there. Okay, another one is Instagram. That's another good one. So Instagram is mainly for photo sharing, image sharing. So that's a good one out there. TikTok is a video sharing for short videos, usually a minute or less. Zoom is video conferencing, and they use it here for some of the meetings and things like that. And the other ones out there, Skype and FaceTime, and so there's a bunch of different video conferencing packages, and depends on who you're talking to and whether it's a group or just talking to another individual and what capabilities you want. There's kind of these apps to help you do almost everything. Travel, one of them that I like is Google Earth. You can get satellite images, also Street View. So if I'm going to a location that maybe I haven't been before, I'll usually look it up and see what may be around there, or landmarks, or parking. Is there on-street parking? Whatever. You can kind of check some of those things out. Here I mentioned Canon print services. This is if you do want to print from your phone or from your tablet, usually you have to load an app to help you do that. And here at Carondelet, I'm not sure what app. You may check with Sue or check with them on on how you can print there to the printer. They do have a color printer that you can print stuff off on, and usually you have to install an app on your phone or tablet, and then when you're reading your email or you're out at a website and you want to print something out, you can send it to the printer there. I mentioned the Google Chrome browser. That usually has some extra features and functions that are handy, especially if you do things with Google Docs that can be handy. Another browser, Microsoft Edge browser, is a brand new browser from Microsoft that in most cases is faster, takes up less memory, and has less security problems than Chrome. So it's starting to take over more of the market there. Another utility that I used, it's called SMS Backup. SMS is what's used for text messages on your phone. A lot of people don't realize that the text messages on your phone, if you were to lose your phone or it got destroyed to the point where you couldn't turn it on and get at it, you'd lose all your text messages that are on here. They aren't backed up anywhere. So this is an app that lets you back it up. It also backs up your telephone calls, your call log of who called and when they called and things like that. And then if you do lose your phone or that, enables you to restore it on another phone there where you can get back that information. The iPhones don't, you have to turn on backup and you have to do a special feature in there. By default, it's not backed up because the reason it's not backed up automatically is if you keep everything, all your messages from everywhere, that can get quite large, especially if people are sending you photographs and different things. So most people, because they'll get a new phone, but when you get a new phone, you'll take the old phone and transfer everything from the old phone to the new phone. As long as the old phone is working, you can transfer your messages and your calls and things like that. But if somebody had stole your phone or you had lost your phone, then all of a sudden you lose the capability of, you know, gee, I got a text message a year ago from somebody that I wanted to keep. It's gone. It's nowhere there. Okay. Another utility, a tile. This is a little device that can be attached to other devices to help you find them. This is similar to Apple just came out with a new device called the Apple Tag. The tag is a little device that you can add to a keychain or you can add to a wallet or a purse that if you lose that object or want to find it, it's a way to find it there. Wyze, I mentioned Wyze here. They make cameras, indoor and outdoor cameras and other security devices, and you can check things out that way. So that's the list, and there's weather. You can see the weather there, a list of ones out there. Okay, we've almost run out of time, but we do have time for questions or comments or that.
A lot of times you get when you try to download an app, it'll say in-app purchases.
Right.
Does that mean the thing won't work unless you purchase the in-app, whatever?
No, what the in-app purchases means, oh, let me get back here. What in-app purchases mean is kind of like you were talking about. Within the app, there may be things that pop up where you can make for $1.99 you can get this feature, or for this much you can get this feature. So there's certain features or functions that you may have to pay for. And if you're just doing basic type things, you may not have to pay for anything. So it's not going to charge you, but be aware that you may not be able to use all the features and the functions unless you buy some of the services. This is especially true of games. If you've heard of games, people will give the phone to their 7-year-old to play a game, and their 7-year-old is making purchases, and at the end of the month they have a $1,000 bill because the kid was buying things all the time. Okay?
Back to the find the key one. You told me find the keys. You said you had a hat, something to attach. Where do you get that?
The tile is actually a device that you'd buy at like a Target, or you can buy it online. It's a device that attaches to the to what you want, whether it's the purse or to the wallet or that.
I think my keys.
Now we found it very helpful because my mother started coming down with dementia, and she would hide her purse and hide her wallet in the apartment. And you'd think the apartment's not that big, should be able to find it. She was a very good hider, and not in the same place every time. So it was a case of, in this case, the tile. I'd be able to use my phone, and I'd be able to say, oh, it's in the closet on a hanger with a winter coat. And I mean, that's, we'd go through the closet and we'd look and we wouldn't find it. So this saved us quite a few times there.
You just buy some little thing to attach.
Show them the website.
Due to time, we won't go into that. But Apple now has a similar type of deal. It's called the Apple Tag, and typically they sell for about $20, the device itself, and they have a little battery in there, and you put the app on your phone, and it'll lead you right to where it is. So it'll tell you, you're within 30 feet of it, or if you were even in a different state, it'll start telling you how to narrow it down. Oh, it was last in this location, in this state, in this city, and this address here. So it uses GPS and keeps track of the location of these different things.
Wow.
They can be handy too. I'll mention whether it's, again, the Apple Tag or the tile. People will put them on, let's say, on the purse. You can also set it up so it's handy to find things there, but you can also set it up so that if the purse gets more than 20 feet away from you, you get a buzz on your phone that says, you're leaving your purse behind. So there can be handy there, and people will put it, let's say, I have my laptop here, well, I can put it on the laptop, on the bag here. So if I accidentally forget it somewhere, or somebody steals the bag and starts taking off, I immediately could get notified that it's going away from me. It's not close to me. So they can be handy there.
Was it Apple what?
Apple Tag, T-A-G, and they make it in a number of different devices there. So they make one that'll fit like on a key ring, and they make other ones that are small and flat that you can attach to an object, other ones that fit for luggage and things like that. So they make different deals there, and they usually run between $20 and $30. If you have a bunch of things, I think you can get a discount, like 4 for $70 or something, like $60 or something like that. So they can be handy.
So is there any reason to be cautious about TikTok or some of the other apps? Like TikTok is a big thing that this country thought.
Yeah, there certainly was last year. There was worry that the TikTok is a company that started in China, and the worry was that because China knows, is keeping track of what you're watching and stuff like that, that certainly is a little bit of a security, but I guess it's that case of what are you doing and what do you have to protect? And in the case of TikTok, personally myself, I may watch a few videos. I don't care who knows what I watched or what I did. But if you're worried about somebody knowing what you might have watched, then your choice is, no, I'm not going to go out to TikTok, or I'm not going to go to Facebook, and I'm not going to put anything on Facebook. So each of us has to figure out, what risk you have or that. I just tell people like in the PC club and stuff like that, when you post things out on Facebook or things like that, just assume that everybody in the world knows what you're doing. So don't think that you're hiding something there. Just assume that everybody knows and post accordingly or do stuff. And whenever you do a Google search, well, Google is collecting what you're searching on, and they make money off of it because they sell it to. I work for 3M. 3M buys information from Google that tells 3M that people are searching for Scotch tape right now, and maybe they should put more ads on, or they should do things like that. So all companies are using this information and that. And when you go to a Facebook or that, you'll see an ad pop up, and if I had searched before for Scotch tape, I'll probably get an ad for Scotch tape or something there. Now, some people will say, well, that's kind of intrusive that they knew that I had searched for this before or had purchased something on Amazon, and now I'm seeing this ad. And I kind of go, well, if you don't see that ad, you're going to see some other ad. Wouldn't you rather have an ad for something that you're interested in or have purchased before than an ad for nothing? So, each of us has to weigh and be aware of what information is going to be out there.
Is that true even private browsing?
Private browsing can hide a little bit there, but most people have the misconception that they'll be a private browsing, or if you're more familiar too with VPN service, there's additional services to try and hide things. Those can provide a little bit extra security, but in most cases, what you're doing, let's say I go out to Amazon and I buy something on Amazon. If I'm in a private browser and I'm on Amazon, Amazon knows my account, knows that it's me, knows that I bought a roll of Scotch tape or whatever, and Amazon is selling that information to other people and to advertisers. So even though, you thought you were protecting yourself because you logged in with an account on Amazon, or most of these sites you're logging in, even if you're in a private browser, your account is already identifying that it's you and this is what you did.
One other question on that, like Google Pay. Can we assume that that is secure?
Excuse me, I did Google, what was the question?
Google Pay.
Okay, Google Pay.
Because I often deposit checks by my phone. Can we assume that that's secure?
Yes. The most secure apps out there are your banking apps and your financial apps. So some people will say, never do things at a coffee shop, or if you've heard of coffee shop where the Wi-Fi may not be encrypted, or different things like that. The banking apps and the finance apps have all kinds of layers of protection so that you are safe there. You're actually safer than sending it through the mail, or if I take it down to the bank, bad things can happen at the bank, whether it's a bad employee at the local bank, or it gets sent to a regional hub and somebody else has to open an envelope or has to do this. So you're actually more likely to have a problem there than you are when, I take a picture of it and basically no human ever sees it or touches it. So they don't have my bank deposit slip as an example, and there's no envelope or no physical thing floating around that somebody might steal from your mailbox or from the company there. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
One I hope under cost, a lot of these have free to $9.99.
That's that in-app purchase business. So some of them, if you want additional features and functions, then they can cost money there. And certainly start out with the free. Frequently, the free may give you all the features and functions that you need. And if it does cost more than what you want, that's where checking that similar, like when we were looking at back up here where we see when you're looking at an app and it says similar, that's where you can maybe check out, is there a similar app that I might be able to try that might not cost, or maybe you tried an app and it didn't do exactly what you wanted, so look for a similar one that'll do something for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming, and if you do have any other questions, feel free to contact me, and we'll hope that you found it interesting and try out some things, because with almost 3 million apps out there, there's something for everybody. And I'm not expecting you to go back and again load all these things in. No. What people in the PC Club do with this is they'll keep this around, and whenever they want to have to do something, they'll say, oh, I remember the presentation. Maybe there's an app that'll do something that I want, and oh, here's one I can try and see if it does it. So use it as a guide to get you going and maybe try one of these, because with 3 million things out there, there's something for everybody.
Do you have a card?
Yeah, I've got it at the table, or here's one here. Okay, and then I'll be setting up more meetings too for some of these things like going over email, both the basic and some advanced things in there, and calendars and different packages and that. So hopefully we'll start covering some of this other stuff.
I got a new laptop, yeah. There is so much different on it. It's a bill. Do you ever do classes on setting up a new laptop?
Actually, on the PC Club, I've done over the 35 years, I've done topics on everything. And so a lot of these topics, like setting up a new PC, that's a standard one. I usually do that in the PC Club maybe every 3 years or 5 years. I'll do that presentation. Antivirus is another popular one, because people are always on desktops and laptops worried about viruses, and we'll talk about packages and things and stuff like that. So.
You want to sign up to do it.
Okay. No.
Another help would be, I got a new PC a year ago, and I got a new iPad a while ago, and they have all of these things already installed, but I have no idea what they're for, or how to use them, or whether I want to use them.
Yeah. When what I talk about on some of that is a lot of the laptops and desktops come with what's called, it's actually called crapware, C-R-A-P, because there's software that is put on there in some cases to try and sell you into buying a version or stuff like that. And in other cases, it's games or things like that you're never going to use, but it's slowing down the machine and it's on the desktop. And so, yeah, it's beneficial if you can figure out what you really need to do and whether you find this helpful. Now, kind of like what I started with the apps, excuse me, what you find helpful is different than what I find helpful. So I'm not going to stand up and say, you only need these 5 things. For you, you may have these things that you need. For somebody else, it may be a little different set. So,
Because I have no idea what any of it is.
and that's what I try and help people with, is educate them, and doing a Google search on some of this stuff is an easy way to tell too. So you can do a little bit there and figure out whether it's worthwhile. The nice thing about the apps or the software on the PC, for the most part, if you delete it and you later find out that you want it, you can reinstall it and it isn't going to cost you anything. So, you know, it's not like you're destroying something that you can't get back or that. You can usually reinstall or get access to stuff.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.